Hi guys, so today I will be explaining what happens to red blood cells in people who have sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease. I'm gonna jump straight into this one. So the reason why some red blood cells can become sickle shaped is because of a genetic mutation that changes the structure in the hemoglobin found within these red blood cells. So people with sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease have HbS hemoglobin, but normal hemoglobin is HbA. So the abnormal structure of the hemoglobin ends up changing the structure of the red blood cells. So instead of the red blood cells staying as a normal disc shape, they can become sickled crescent shapes. So, when red blood cells are produced in someone with sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease, they do look normal. So, from the outside, they look like a normal disc shape, but they are pretty much never normal when they're produced simply because of the HbS found within the red blood cell. So they end up turning sickled shaped when they go through a process called deoxygenation. So that's when a red blood cell delivers oxygen to the body and offloads that oxygen. And this ends up making them sickled shape. Regardless, because of the abnormal hemoglobin found within the red blood cells, this makes them less flexible before even before they lose oxygen. So when a red blood cell becomes a sickled crescent shaped red blood cell, the process they go through is they elongate and they also become stiff. And this can basically cause them to become even less efficient at carrying oxygen in the body. The red blood cells also have a reduced surface area, and the lifespan of these red blood cells are even shorter. So, a normal red blood cell can live up to 120 days, while a sickled red blood cell can last up to 20 days. So there's a significant difference between how long a normal red blood cell lived for compared to a sickled red blood cell. When they go through this change, they obviously become more rigid and less flexible. And this makes it easier for them to get trapped in blood vessels, which then blocks oxygen being delivered to the relevant parts of the body. This can cause tissue damage, and this can also cause physical symptoms as well, like pain. Um, I'm not gonna go into too much depth about symptoms because another video has to be filmed for that so that you could get an understanding of the different array of symptoms that people with sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease can experience. So capillaries are the blood vessels that carry oxygenated blood around the body. Capillaries are one of the smallest blood vessels found within the body, and they are tasked obviously with carrying blood and oxygen as well as nutrients to organs and waste around the body. Red blood cells that have HbA hemoglobin, so normal red blood cells, have no problems getting themselves through capillaries. Now, on average, I believe that capillaries have a smaller diameter compared to a normal red blood cell. So now when you take a sickled red blood cell and they try and travel through capillaries, it becomes more difficult, essentially, because they are stiff. They're more stiff for starters. And because of how small capillaries are as well, that doesn't help. So when sickled red blood cells are traveling through capillaries, they can end up clogging the blood vessels. And red blood cells also, sickled red blood cells can also get stuck together. So that basically is the journey of a red blood cell that is sickled, and it's all I'm going to give for now, just because I wanted to give that rundown of how they turn into sickled red blood cells and how they find it more difficult to travel around blood vessels because of how stiff they become and all of that. So that was just a quick one, and hopefully you have learned a thing or two about a sickled red blood cell. I'll definitely do a video on physical symptoms, and I'm definitely still going to get the video out on the inheritance of sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease. I just need to do the visual graphs, like the Punnett squares and all of that, and hopefully that video will be released at some point, but I'll catch you in the next one.